Okay, so this is my MKP, Modern Combat Solutions, or Hurricane. It goes by many names. Alright, so here's the V-trigger, full auto, single fire, safety. Alright, so you have your remote line air through stock right here, the Magwell stock. It is collapsible. It is a bit of a pain in the butt to get this off. I would recommend that you don't take it off. If you need help trying to figure out how to take it off, remove it, and such, you can just ask me later and I'll tell you how to do it. But I'm just going to tell you right now, it took me a very long while to figure out how to do it. But once I figured out how to do it, it's not so bad. But right now it's pretty tight and it's secure and it's in a good spot, so I don't want to mess with that. Alright, so I'm going to flip it over. I'm going to talk a little bit about it. Alright, so it is a little dirty. That's why I'm going to clean it a little bit. But this right here is a lock bolt. And what the lock bolt does is that it basically prevents the bolt from moving forward. You can see that little white piece in there. So if there's nothing in the marker, if there's nothing in the chamber, that little white plastic piece is going to be flapped down. It's going to prevent that bolt from going forward. And what that is supposed to do, it's supposed to prevent chops, which is nice. And also too, if you're, if you have an empty mag or there's a misfeed or such and such, your marker will not shoot. And it's a good thing that it won't shoot. So it won't shoot so you don't send paint and crap through the barrel. And this is the barrel that I'm going to be including. It's a Rep 4 linear bore barrel. It's about 9 inches. Then I have the Labco tip on there, which is kind of nice, so it kind of gives it a cool feel. But I'm gonna try to get this out and I'm gonna explain to you how to maintain it. So you can take these pins out. These pins are super easy. Oh, another thing about the Magwell is I have the extended mag release. It's pretty nice. One thing you gotta watch out for is if you hit the mag release and let's say you rub it up against stuff, it will get snagged. So you kind of want to make sure that you have a routine going when you're reloading your mags. You can tighten it, but I think right now it's at the best configuration. So you just gotta be careful when you're reloading and such, because this could kind of get caught. Alright, so with the lock bolt, there's this little notch right here. And you push that out. Alright, just so you know, there's a small end and then there's the longer end right here. You want the small end going towards the marker, because if you don't, if you stick this in like this, you're not going to have that little indention to pull the little pin out, and this pin is what holds the lock bolt in place. So if you stick it in this way, you're going to have problems. If you stick it in small side towards the buttstock, then you're doing it right. Alright, so if you take the lock bolt out, sometimes it will happen. Any marker you'll get a chop, and when you get a chop, it's going to be recommended that you go ahead and address that. So you could take this lock bolt off. The unfortunate thing about taking the lock bolt off is that you're gonna have to remove the foregrip. So when you take the lock bolt out, you can kind of see that it kind of does this little white piece moves. So just to make sure that it's going good, I'm gonna put a little bit of silicone in there. Keep it nice and oiled. Alright, so I'm gonna leave that right there. As far as the rest of the marker, I'm gonna take out the internals and I'll show you how to clean and lube all that. So basically, also too, if you want a chrono, this is where you chrono right here. So if you want a chrono down, you need to turn it up. So you're going to get an Allen key and go up if you want to turn it down. If you want to go up, then you need to go down. So it's kind of opposite. So it's kind of a good way to remember. All right, so what I'm gonna do is I'm going to, where's my Allen key? There it is. I'm gonna take off the shroud, or this little rail bit right here. Normally this is where the pins go, but because it's a 3D printed kit, you kind of have to do a little bit more work. Alright, so if you need me to, I will tell you where to get the 3D printed parts. Alright, so now that we got the rail taken out, we can get these pins out. And this thing should just wiggle out. Alright, so what I did was, there was a little bit of a, I mean, it wasn't a big leak like a mil-sig leak, but right here you have these two O-rings and they're pretty small. So what I did was I just wrapped, I forgot what kind of tape it is. It's that white thin tape. I can't remember what it is. But I just wrapped that around there and it kind of prevents it from leaking. But this right here, this is a pretty solid upgrade. I think all MKP should have this. All Hurricane should have this because it allows the air stock capability. Alright, so as soon as you take that off, that's not, I mean, you can't get to the internals. So you got to keep going. So you're going to take this pin out, and this is going to remove the trigger. Alright, so this is your trigger right here. Put that to the side, and going to clean this up a little bit, just a little bit. It's a little dirty. That's okay. Alright, use this. Okay, so you just want to make sure that this is the attachment that goes towards this. So that's your little air through stock valve right there. You want to make sure that the O-rings on this are good, because if you don't, then odds are you're probably gonna have a leak. But it doesn't leak, so it's good. So this is called it's valve plug of some sort, I think. So yeah, so you could take that out. This is just a plug. I mean, you gotta have it, but you know, it doesn't really need to be in the best condition. It just kind of prevents the bolt from coming out. And then right here you have another plug, so you take that out, and at that point the internal should come out. See, there you go. And that's it. That's the internals right there. So what I'll do is I'll go ahead and just wipe it down a little bit. Here's a spring. Go ahead and clean that just a little bit. It's not, you can keep this thing bone dry. You could treat this thing like shit and it will still shoot. I can guarantee it. Like, this thing could be bone freaking dry and it'll still shoot. Alright, so this is the First Strike projectile bolt. As long as you have this bolt in here, you'll be able to shoot first strikes and round ball, which is nice. I personally will say that this marker shoots round ball more consistently through first strikes, since first strikes are more of an inconsistent round depending on what batch you get. I could tell you that rounds like the Broncos, which are like the blue tip orange fins, are really shitty first strikes, and everybody tends to have issues with those. I mean, they'll still shoot, but you're just gonna have a higher ratio of, you know, defected first strikes to, you know, a fireable first strike. All right, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna grab some oil it up a little bit, put it back together, and I'll go from there. Okay, so I got my oil You don't really need to do too lot. You don't really need to oil this thing at all, really. But I'm just gonna go ahead and do it. So I have 2 bolts right here. This is the original, and this is the new one. I'll give you both since once I hand this marker over to you, I'm not gonna need it. So all the parts that I have for it, I'm just gonna hand over. So that's nice right there. Put a little bit right here, not a whole lot. Get that spring in there. Kind of work it in, and I'm just gonna stick it in the tube. Boom. Okay, one thing I also forgot to mention is that you have this little O-ring right there. That's the little, it's like a buffer O-ring, and that's gonna go, there's like a little indentation. So what I haven't done, what I haven't showed you is taking these 2 shells apart. You don't really need to. I recommend that you don't, unless something severely bad happens, which I've never really had that issue unless I just wanted to clean the marker completely. But I recommend that you don't take the shells apart because it is kind of a hassle, and make sure that everything is aligned, but it's not too bad. Okay, another thing I wanted to mention too is you have a detent. It is common knowledge that you don't want the detent facing this way, because then the bolt's just going to chop it in half, and you don't want that because then you're going to have double feeds. So just make sure that that detent is, back. If you need me to, you know what, I'll go ahead and include some detents just in case you do find yourself in that situation. But the first thing you want to do is you want to make sure that you get this in here first. All right, so you put that in there first, then you could kind of come over here and push the internals in, and then get that plug in there to hold it in place. Boom. Right, so the internals aren't coming out. They're nice and secured. You're gonna put your valve block in there. And the assembly is pretty easy. This gun is so freaking easy to maintain. Like, no sweat at all, really. You can take apart this gun at the field, and I can't really say you can do that, with any other marker, especially not a milsig. Yeah. We'll put this back. Sometimes what I've done in the past is, it wiggles just a little bit right here, so you could put some electrical tape right here just to kind of fill that gap, but it's not that big of an issue, really. So you can put that in there. My pins are a little rusty, but it's not that big of an issue, really. We'll put this back on the rail top. Come on. There we go. All right, that's on there. Alright, so that's good. Next we'll do, let's get the lock bolt back in place. So you just want to make sure the lock bolt's all the way on. There's a little indentation right there. You can use a mallet, back of a screwdriver, just as long as you get in place. Push that in there, boom. Alright, so that's good. Alright, so then I'm gonna put Magwell back in place. That was easy. Next we'll do the handguard. So the handguard's a little it's a 3D printed handguard, so you might be a little careful with the handguard. The handguard is kind of in this position where you got, I mean, it's not going to be tight unless you have a barrel kind of on it.